Hey, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday Tips to Unleash Your Amazing Content. Today, my special guest is Helena, and she is an amazing lady, and I cannot wait to share her with you. I met her, we're in a mastermind together, and I love her mind. And Helena, would you tell the guests a little bit about yourself? And I'm going to share it to a couple other places while you do.
You go do that. I'll entertain people and we shall see how that actually goes. So hello to those of you who have already joined us live. And for those of you who are listening to a replay, hello anyway, that makes sense. Most of you likely have a different accent to me. So I'm based in the UK. So it is currently, sort of a little bit later than it is over in the States, and I'm really delighted to join you. So my name is Helena. You can think of me as Helena the trainer. That's normally a good way to sort of do this. I am born to teach. I am a coach, a guide, a mentor. I have helped hundreds of business owners set up their businesses. I really am all about putting the foundations in your business and making sure that you are using your creativity and your personal style to really show up in the world as you, because we all deserve, our unique voices to go out in the world in the way that we need them to go out in the world. So I run not one but two companies. One of them is called Helping You Shine, and that's how Tammy and I have met. But I also run one for speakers, authors, and coaches called Speaker Insight. So around all of that, content is one of the things that I channel my creativity into. And Tammy was like, oh, will you share some of that with everybody here? So I said, yes, and here I am.
So I asked Helena how she got started with her fabulousness. And she said that around the age 4 that she was teaching kids how to build the perfect sandcastle. And that was very important to her. So she started teaching at the age of 4. And that's what led to Helena the trainer.
That's exactly right. And so, honestly, training is, I believe, and if you don't know what yours is, then feel free to kind of have a chat with me. But I believe that every person has a golden thread as you look through your careers, and as you look through what you've actually done, even if you've switched massively, there will be some kind of golden thread that makes sense of all the disparate things you've done. Or indeed, if you're one of these people who was born knowing, sort of what to do when you've just done that thing and risen or done your thing, there is a golden thread that all of us have. And for me, it really is this teaching thing that showed up before I even knew what teaching was.
When I was a kid, I wanted to be a teacher too. It was, we used to play school, and I just loved to share and kind of guide people. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, I'm still there.
Well, it took me a little longer to get there. I had to go through those other things in my life to build on some different experiences. So
yeah, no, it's a delicious thing to be able to. I mean, for me, to be able to be in a situation where I can support people just by sharing what I know. Apparently, I have an ability to make the complex simple. So usually I'm the person that, and it shows up in beautiful ways. I'm the person that people tap on the shoulder when I was working in an office, and they'd go like, can you show me how to do this thing in Excel? And I'd be like, maybe. Because I'd be like, I don't know what that is, but, and I'm going to say this with love and grace, I'm a really fast reader and I know where the help button is. And I'm really good at kind of taking somebody else's stuff and just going, oh, I see what they mean, and connecting the dots, and then actually saying, hey, here's what you do. So yeah, it just showed up that way. And so I learn from everything and just pull it in, and it's like it goes in a magic filing cabinet somewhere, and it doesn't seem to go away.
yes, I love that about you. I know that one of your strengths is actually working with visionaries, like big picture thinkers, so that you can help them to break down the steps. And
I Yeah, I call it like taking the brilliance. Like, I believe every single person listening, every person that we meet is brilliant. We just have to figure out what that brilliance is. But my super skill, my superhero skill tends to be to take that brilliance and then to just hone it in and give it a shape and a structure so that everyone can actually express themselves in a way that really is truly them, but also makes sense to the rest of the world. Because you know how sometimes it's really hard to explain what you mean or what you stand for in some way? That's my superpower. I kind of help people do that.
Nice. And so today you're going to share some tips on creating content with us. So what's your first tip?
Okay, so my first one is and so trust is a massive thing. It's a core thing that kind of runs through everything I do. So my very first tip for you when you are creating your content is you have to trust that you do know something that someone else wants to hear about, wants to know about, because you are an expert in something. So my invitation, my first invitation is to really trust that. So you're either an expert because you actually have been doing this for a very long time. So you actually know it inside and out. And that may not be about qualifications, although qualifications definitely put you in that space where you can trust you know what you need and you know what you know and what you do. But there's also experience. So all three levels, if you're recognized as an expert, if you have the qualifications, yes. But if you have the experience, and this is the one that lets a lot of people down, I think, is that we actually know something about something that someone else wants to know about, because not all of us know everything. So my first,
What?
yes, I know. How mad is that? It's like, wow, you mean I need to ask for help? Yes, you
So
do.
crazy.
I know. How mad is that? So here's the thing. You've spent years learning, gaining, creating. So, you know, you care and you want to share and you absolutely do that. So that's about trusting that you absolutely have value to give in the world. So don't go into a ball of awkwardness, you know, instead just kind of know, embrace the fact that you've lived and you've done and you've accumulated and gathered, and just trust that somebody somewhere really wants this.
Yeah, I love that. For me, I think in what I do and what I help people with is validating. And I think
Nice.
it's so important because a lot of us throughout life, we've been invalidated with the experiences that we've had. We've been told to play small and be nice and, you know, be smaller than we really are. And so I think that trusting and having a mentor or a coach that can validate, you know, hey, you do have this message to share is so, so important.
Yeah, and a top tip just to go with that one is make a list. Make a list. If you go back through your history, make a list of all the things that you have done, all the things that you have learned, all the things that you have studied in some way, because I promise you, somewhere in that you will go, I do know a lot, and actually I do care, and I will share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about tip number two?
Okay, tip number two. So, this one is all about, so as human beings, oh, and by the way, I am one of those, I have studied pretty much everything under the sun just because I'm a really curious sort. So it doesn't matter
You
what. Yeah.
well, from your assessment, you're intellectual, so you like really love to learn.
Yeah, I really, really do. And so the thing about this is that as human beings, we have a focus, we have a core kind of direction, we have a mode of thinking, exactly as you're saying, but we also have a filter. And the way that you can turn those two things in you, so you have when I say a focus, I mean a perspective. You have a way of thinking about something. And that filter allows you to see it one way. It's almost like if you and I had a beach ball between us, you might see the yellow side and I might see the blue side, and I might say the beach ball is blue and you'd go, nah, the beach ball is yellow. You know, so those filters and that focus allows you to see things, and that's actually powerful for content. So you're walking around, like, you know, and we've all got a phone or something along those lines. So you might see a photo from your filter. So I'll give you an example. So the other day, so I'm currently in self-isolation because I went to see my family in Denmark. And halfway through my visit, they went on the list that meant that when I got back to the UK, I needed to self-isolate. And I was trying to go out on my balcony when I saw that a spider had actually made a web, literally was just finishing a web. And I was like, oh, I don't want to, that's a lot of effort. So I don't want to like swing my door open into this home that this spider's made, right? So I'm like, so I sit there on the sill, kind of getting my fresh air day for the day. And I was like, we're just watching. And out of that came a blog that is now on Medium called What the Spider Taught Me About Marketing. And so what I'm saying is that actually my perspective is, I love business and I love kind of helping people see how things link. And so my focus and my filter let me take the photo. They didn't come out too well, so I used kind of stock photos instead in the article. I give credit where credit's due. But from that stance, from your expert status, you will have a filter, you will see something, and you will see something in that other people won't see. That becomes content. So most people think that content is this stuff that you have to make up. But actually, my switch for you is you've already got the filter to allow stuff to come in that then allows you to create from that. So you also know who your ideal customer is, who you're serving in some way. And so because you know who your reader, watcher, client is, you actually have part of their filter in mind when you're walking around in the world. So I'm inviting you, my second invitation is just to open up to
Uh-oh.
I love
the
dogs.
Squirrel is out there. The dang squirrel. I'm gonna not like that squirrel very much.
But listen, your dog is working from his filters. Like he's going, that's what I'm designed to do. I'm designed to, bark at squirrels. That's what I do. And so that's really my invitation is, so we have a phrase over here called don't be Marmite. Now you might not know what Marmite is. So I'm going to say, or be more Marmite. It's this yucky, in my world, from my filters, it's this yucky, disgusting B vitamin-y type stuff that people literally do eat on bread over here. Strange people. And there is a whole set of people that love Marmite, and there is a whole set of people that hate Marmite. The equivalent over there would probably be, don't be vanilla. Like it's this whole thing of have an opinion and put your stake in the ground and do your content from that place, because you might polarize people, but it actually engages people, and those who actually like what you stand for will come to you more.
I love that. I love that a lot. I used that the other day whenever I was at the doctor's office, and he referred me to the X-ray technician, and I had to get an X-ray. And I thought about with referrals, like how cool is it that X-ray technician company gets all these doctors to refer them business, and that became a story.
See, and this is my whole thing. Content is absolutely everywhere. So because you have your filters in mind, and the people that you are referring, the people you're serving, because you know them, you actually can start to see everything as content. So that's my invitation number 2. I love that.
Yes. Okay, so let me add on that. So one of my favorite ways to repurpose content is like with the live videos that I do is one, transcribing them and then breaking out and using that as written word. And so, I guess my thing for people is if you feel awkward or you're not sure how to write, even just setting up a video or, your tape recorder and talking into it and then transcribing it and then cleaning it up is so huge for making content. Then the videos, like taking little clips out of it, maybe it's you rewatch, because I always rewatch my videos to make sure that I wasn't as awkward as I felt like I was while I was talking.
That's a good thing to do.
And then I write down, okay, so at like 5 minutes and 34 seconds, I said something that was pretty good. Yeah. I'm going to like take that clip and I'm going to repurpose that and put it out in different places. And
Fantastic.
that is a way to, a strategy to use the best of your time.
For sure. So anyone who's watching, if that sounds like an appealing strategy, you may or may not know of this wonderful piece of software. It is my favorite, pretty much one of my top 5 apps now. It is, so if you go to Otter, Otter, otter.ai, it is just the most brilliant thing, because it literally, from your phone, you said kind of, record something. You can record something, but it transcribes you exactly as you're doing it. So it records your audio, but it also transcribes it, which means you have both ready and available right there. So I literally take this out for a walk, and when I see, using my filters, whatever it is, I literally start to talk the story out so that that's also available. So it's a really great way of doing it. And so with the videos, here's what I do with those. I will play the video back, but I will otter it at the same time, because then you've got the blog that goes with it, which is just great. So I love that.
Yes, because some of us think really fast, like, with the different communication styles. Everybody thinks so differently. And if you think really fast, it's hard to just write everything or type out the stuff. So making sure that you are maximizing those thoughts as they come to you is huge when it comes to creating content.
Yeah.
So what is tip number 3?
Okay, tip number 3. This is a really simple one, but it's a really hard one. It's listen. It is literally to listen, to eavesdrop. So content is created from content. Like literally there is content everywhere. I kind of said this as already, but when you listen, whether you're in a cafe, you're standing in line at the post office, you're at home, you're with friends, you are doing something like this, you're listening to a webinar, you're educating yourself in some way. If you listen, then you will start to hear the problems that people have, the situations they find themselves in, the context that they are, worried about, the questions that they're asking. And guess what? As soon as you have something to solve, because we are, as humans, natural problem solvers, depending on your style, you'll come at it differently and you'll have your own perspective, whether you're Marmite, vanilla, or whatever else, you will have your own perspective on them. But if you keep a little book with you, or, again, on your phone, you note down whatever, whether it's in Evernote, etc., then you can play with those questions. You can play with the queries that you actually have. And all of those things can provide you with content, with stuff that you can put out there, whether you're then asking that same question in order to get answers, whether you are saying, hey, I overheard somebody say this the other day, and actually it really got me thinking about it again from my perspective. Here's my solution to how that would work with my experience, with my expertise. And again, we're kind of beginning to wrap all of those 3 together. But content comes from listening. And sometimes that listening needs to be really generous listening. So it's simply, it's not judgmental. It's not like, oh, really, you don't know how to do that? Like, let me just show you. It's not that, right? It's just curious and generous listening, because you're noting everything. You can capture titles, whether you are selling something or coaching people or helping someone across the street, whether you are, just hearing book titles, whatever comes at you, listening is the key to just gathering. So it's kind of this, don't be a hunter, go be a gatherer. And how to gather content is to listen.
Yeah, and listening is a great way to just do life in general. Like, we have to, as a society, learn to listen more and try to open our eyes to other people's perspectives, and be a little less judgmental and so quick to type and everything. Because you can even do that same thing by seeing posts on social media that maybe is something that you don't necessarily agree with, but maybe you don't like comment right there on it. Maybe instead what you do is reflect and then write some great content on your opinion, and
That's
you do
it.
not need to tag them in that post.
And the thing about that is that things that, yes, for sure, oh my word, for sure, like, you know, fuel and fire, there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes on there. But it's this thing about feeling brave enough to share your opinion, but and at the same time, you know, being measured enough to actually go, so what do I think about that, and what do I want to share about that? And I was always taught, you know, we have two ears and one mouth, so we need to use them in that proportion.
Very true. Very true.
You know, so listen to get content. Listen, let the content come to you. So in kind of tip number 1, I'm kind of saying go out in the world and look for it. In tip number three, I'm kind of saying let it come to you.
What about tip number 4?
Okay. So this is almost me on my high horse in a sort of telling people what to do kind of manner, and I know that it works. So this is just add value. Like it's this, like it's so not about you. Like in with the greatest of respect, it's so not about you. Content is so about being entertaining, being educational, being edutaining in some way, so you know, sort of, so that you have this it's about saying what can I give that's of value, because you know, if we're going to take up space, we may as well take up space in a way that actively contributes to others. So I'm a big fan of your content must contribute, and so that becomes like a checkpoint. That becomes when you've written something, you know, when you sit there and you've got your first draft, or when you've done a video in some way, exactly as you said about, you know, looking back through it, stop for a moment and go, who does this add value to? What value does it add? Does it need more? Is there a tiny little invitation? And you'll notice I use that word quite a lot. There is an invitation in everything that we do, when we speak, we are making an invitation. When we speak, we can also be instructional, you know, sort of in some way. But certainly there is this, and different situations demand that, as you well know, with different personality types, etc. The key here, though, is whichever tone of voice you're doing it in, does it add value to a situation? And sometimes knowing that you've added value, you know, that could be giving somebody a tip, like if you've never actually, if you like the idea of transcribing something, of talking into a microphone and then not having to type it up, but actually having it done for you, giving somebody the tip of Otter.ai or something like that, or you just even saying, hey, you could repurpose your videos in this way, that becomes something of value that somebody else needs. And a lot of the time, we need to just step back and go, what could I offer? And then I circle back around to the first one. Then we need to trust that what we share is actually useful to people. So, you know, before you hit the send button, have you picked out the value? What's the value? And have you linked the value through to an activity that you suggest for them? Because sometimes we see the value, but if you ask for somebody to say something directly, like I'm going to ask absolutely everybody who is listening, whether you're doing it live or whether you're, you know, sort of listening or to a replay at some point, pop a little note in to say, the biggest takeaway I got from this is, or this is actually, I do number 3 or number 2, because I hadn't realized that, you know. So even making a simple invitation around what do you do or what are you going to do becomes something that makes it of value. I hope that makes sense.
It does. It does. Like, and sometimes, you know, different personalities or behavioral styles aren't comfortable commenting on social media. So what I would encourage them to do is share with us, send us a direct message if something resonates and you got something out of it, or if you have questions, but you don't want to put a public comment out there, but you really need an answer, feel free to message us and we're happy to help you and answer those questions.
I'm so delighted Tammy just spoke on my behalf then, because of course that's the way, you know, sort of, and it's this honoring, and I love this about your knowledge around kind of how personalities work, because of course not everybody does it in the same way that we do. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. I'm going to see if we have any comments here. Try to see
Yeah,
if we have any
please.
comments without it like blasting and then all we
We don't
hear is
mind.
that because that happens. I do that.
Yeah. So one of the things that so wearing my Speaker Insight hat, I run a company with somebody else, and we usually do a live on a Tuesday. So this is my second live on a Tuesday, sharing content wherever you can. And one of the things that we actively do is I'm usually the one that makes things blast out because I'm usually the one managing the comments in this way. So, you know.
Aw, well, I got to do that for you today.
I know, how amazing. Like I really do feel served, and it comes down to that whole, how do you add value? Well, actually, the question is, how do I serve? And I say that in a really wide context. You know, it's a key thing to just trusting everything that comes out of your mouth is going to be a useful thing.
Yes, yes. I have one more question for you.
Go for it.
All right, so I asked if you have an avatar or superhero alter ego, and you said Moana. I love her.
I love her too. I think she's just the bee's knees. I'm sure you don't have that saying over there, but she is the bee's knees.
I've heard it. I've heard it.
Oh, good. I'm pleased. So for me, Moana she's feisty, she's bold, she's aware enough that she doesn't fit. And she puts on a good face every now and then she's just like, nah, it's not me. And I'm just going to go and do my thing. I'm going to do the thing that I'm supposed to go and do, whatever it costs, you know. And she risks, and she's brave, and she dares, and then she just stands up to people because she knows that she's on a path and she's doing what she's supposed to do. So I love this whole, you know, this feistiness that actually is heart of gold. And at the same time, it's like, I know my place in the world. I fought hard to get to my place in the world, and no one's going to take away my place in the world. You know, sort of no singing god or demigod is going to take away my place, right? And so I love that. And so my alter ego, I absolutely channel my inner Moana, especially when I don't feel my content is good enough, because we all have days on which we judge ourselves. Most of the time, I'm really okay with it. But, you know, there are days on which we feel like, oh, these other people do it better than I do, you know, because we're human. Like one of my gorgeous mentors always used to say to me, bless you, wherever you now are. He passed away not so long ago. But he always used to say, how human of you. And I just, you know, there are days on which we have the how human of you days. And on those days, Moana comes to play. I do it anyway.
That's the thing with life, is those challenges will come, and that sometimes it's other people's paradigms that have been put into us. And the brave way and the way that you get to the next part of your journey is just to do it anyway.
For sure. And, you know, do it anyway, and allow the assistance and the support to actually happen. Because if you look around, you actually aren't alone. It's just you make it up. When we get into that little hole, we make it up. And it's like, actually, come back out and just have a look around, because there are other people around, right?
Yes, yes.
Which is really nice.
Well, thank you so much for sharing with us today. And I will be back live inside the Facebook Unleash Your Amazing group here in just a little bit, as I'm sharing day 2 of the referral challenge. So thank you, Helena, and I will actually see you again this afternoon on our mastermind.
I was going to say, I'll see you a little bit later this evening, which is really rather good. So hello and goodbye to every single one of you watching. And let us know secretly in quiet squirrel mode or out loud on the feed what you want to ask, what you want to say, but most of all, what did you take away from this? What are you going to do as a result of this?
Awesome. Thank you. Have an amazing day.
Thank you. You too. Bye.